Okay, tell me if you can relate. You walk into a room, you instantly scan it. You're constantly wondering, are they okay? Did I do something wrong? Do they need something from me? Have I let someone down? And before you realize it, you are literally shape shifting. And we have called this empathy. We have called this being sensitive. We have called this being intuitive. But actually, what it is it's literally survival. So today I want to talk about why you still feel responsible for everyone's emotions and how it is sabotaging your peace, your business, and your relationships. Now, this is specifically speaking to high achieving women who have undergone childhood trauma and most likely try to out earn, outperform, outwork it. And it's still showing up in like really subtle, annoying ways. So we need to talk about that. We need to talk about the root and the emotional responsibility and using that as a survival mechanism. Because when you grew up in a home where emotional regulation was absent or unpredictable, you became a regulator. And I can even feel this in my body right now while I'm talking about this. You learn to keep the peace. You learn to anticipate needs and avoid conflict. You learn how to read the room like your life depends on it because it once did. And this is called fawning. And it's not about being a people pleaser in that sense, like keep the peace so you can avoid conflict. It is about your nervous system literally trying to avoid danger. And I talk a lot about this inside my best-selling memoir, Sir Thriving, that there were life and death moments for me that I had to read the room and I had to get it correct. And there was a near-death experience for me that I still to this day have no idea how I survived. But my nervous system is wired to still to this day, being on a walk, going in a store, I am always going to be reading that room. So if you can relate, let me know in the comments down below, because this is the default way that you become. And one might say like, well, this doesn't sound so bad. I mean, you're always looking out for danger. I mean, isn't that what we're taught as children? Like, don't you have a leg up? And the answer is no. Because when this becomes like your default way of just simply being, you are losing access to your own needs and your own identity and your own truth. And that is not a vibe. That is not being able to live in full expression of who you are and what you came here to do. And so that's why these conversations are so incredibly important, because at this point, you might have thought, well, hell, this is a strength of mine. I don't understand what's so wrong with this. I mean, if it saved me as a little kid, then surely it can't be that bad, right? And I'm going to tell you how it shows up in adulthood. And this is going to be surprising, but I also think there's a part of you that probably already knows this, and this is just going to confirm a lot. So the first thing is that unresolved childhood trauma in general, when it shows up in adulthood, it is so sneaky because we're adults, right? We think that this is part of our personality. We use phrases like, well, this is just who I am, or this is my strength. Or like I just said, I can read the room. Like I always anticipate danger. Like I have a leg up on the competition. And we also frame it as being like generous. Like, oh, well, I'm just a really generous person. I'm just a really empathetic person. You know, I can just feel. We also just really get wrapped up in being give back. I just, I want to give more than I take. And or just like simply being a helper, like, oh, I just want to be valuable. I just want to help out as and when I can. But here's how this trauma response actually shows up now. So I'm going to start with business, because a lot of high achieving women are out there and they are dominating the world. They're in huge leadership positions, or they're running companies. And again, they can read the room. Like, this is a business asset. Like, I'm not trying to say you have to reprogram this because this isn't this hasn't been valuable. What I'm trying to say is it's gotten you this far, and now it's standing in your way for this next iteration of your life, which is through genuine self-expression. So in business, it can look like over delivering on every client, every contract, not wanting to upset anyone, making sure that everyone that walks away, they're all like wildly happy with what you've generously given. So over delivering on any client contract, undervaluing your gifts and time. So being like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it doesn't take me that long. Oh, it's super easy for me. Or, it's no big deal. This comes easy to me, or this is a lot easier than it is for XYZ. So I should give this. Or feeling shame when you're raising your prices. Like, well, what if people can't afford me now? How selfish is that of me to not make myself accessible, and just feeling a lot of shame around pricing, especially in your gifts, in your services, and your solutions, and like who you want to serve. So that's how it shows up in business. And some of you might be nodding your head like, I get this. I do not want to agree, but I get this, and it's a real thing. So when it comes to your relationships, you often apologize for having needs because they might be inconvenient for your partner, or maybe they're not even inconvenient for your partner, but you just assume they are, or you perceive them to be, or maybe in the past they were inconvenient for someone else, and you've kind of like drug that back into this relationship. So you apologize for having those needs. You take responsibility for your partner's bad mood. Like, oh, I should have known better. Because probably as a child, you were juggling probably at least one of your parents or caretakers' mood swings, and it was your fault. So you were always on the lookout, and maybe you got it wrong. And what happens is a lot of women start emotionally babysitting grown adults. And this is not a recipe for a successful relationship or partnership. And it's very one-sided. And a lot of times it just sneaks in there. So in everyday life, you tend to feel super anxious when others are upset. And you take silence as a rejection. Like, even if you've sent an email and you haven't heard back from someone in 20 minutes, all of a sudden you think, or in a day or so, you think, oh, they didn't find value in this. They thought it was too expensive. See, I knew I shouldn't. You start spiraling out of control, and you just take silence as a rejection. You make it mean something about you when it probably doesn't mean anything about you at all. But again, this is like reprogramming. This is dragging that shame out into the daylight and realizing that these are old coping mechanisms that brought you to this point. And then you bend until you break, and that can easily look like burnout. So the worst of it all is when you don't fix anything, you don't feel in control, you don't feel like, you have a grip on the narrative, or you're able to get that validation that in fact, by going above and beyond, this client is super happy. You feel like a bad person. Like, and this is the part where you abandon, because you don't even know who you are. You're just literally relying on these old, outdated ways of being, and it's robbing you from actually knowing who you are at your core. So how do we break this pattern? Because this is not who you are, and this is not how you have to continue your life. This is who you had to be to get to this point. And we want to honor that version of you. We were so grateful for her that she showed up and she did what she needed to do to get you to where you are today. And that's where we release her. And a big part of the work that I do with my clients, and that I did for myself first, was you have to reclaim your voice. You have to reclaim what is important to you, who you are as a person. And what that looks like isn't just going outside and, yelling into the ethers, whatever, yelling out, no, I'm reclaiming my voice, is what my voice sounds like. No, it is deciding that you can say no without guilt. That no is a complete sentence, that if you don't want to do something, and even if it might upset someone else, like, that's okay. because there was a time when it wasn't okay and you did it anyway, and then you made that mean something about you. And this is especially true for my generators who are, really programmed to go, go, go and do all the things. And even if they don't want to, which is a form of self-abandonment. So let people sit in their own discomfort. That is not your responsibility. Everyone is a grown adult. Everyone is doing life for the first time. You know, we're all on our own journey. And I think really our responsibility is to show up as authentic as possible and to lead with kindness and to decide how life gets to be for us. That's it. And feel your own emotions without absorbing everyone else's. Like, well, how am I feeling in this moment? How does this situation make me feel? Maybe what emotions am I trying to bypass? Just like quickly get them over with. So these are all important ways that you can reclaim your voice. So what I would say that really helps is learning your human design. We're going back to red lip. Hold, please. Never gets easier. Most humbling thing to do on camera. Okay, so learn your human design. Why is this important? Because there's certain centers in your body that are open. So for example, in human design, if you have an open solar plexus, which is basically where all your emotions are, or if you have an open G center, you're literally designed to feel other people's emotions, but it does not mean that they have to be yours. Let me just clean this up before it's set. It's pretty good. The other thing I would say is you can come up with some sort of mantra that feels really good to you. So, I'm not responsible for the reaction. I'm responsible for my truth could be one. You could say that over and over, especially as you're starting to really like stand up for yourself and your voice and reconnect to the safety in your body. Because until your nervous system believes that it's safe to be sovereign, your inner child will always fawn to survive. So if you realize that your business strategy, for example, is not working because your emotional strategy is still in survival, I just want to let you know, like, you're not alone. This is so common, especially with high achieving women that have undergone any kind of childhood trauma that are like, again, trying to outwork it, out earn it, outperform it, outnumb it, just kind of like get through the day, like get it over with. You don't have to keep carrying everyone else to feel valuable. That is a big part of you that you can go ahead and like set down. And Inside Reclamation, which is a program on how to heal this at a nervous system level with human design, this is what you're going to experience. And if you're ready for a deeper one-on-one mentorship with me personally, then I invite you into Redefining You. Drop it down in the comments, little fire emoji if this hit home for you. If you need anything, you can always send me a DM on Instagram or message me in the comments down below here on YouTube. And I would say hit subscribe and show up again tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be doing a part 2 on this topic, and it's going to be why you cannot rest without guilt. And I'll see you there. Bye.